June 9th, 2021 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen will come to order, and this is our first meeting back in person, and it's so exciting to have people here. And so we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we're really excited to start our first meeting back with a commendation to Fabnet Machine Company. So if the whole family wants to come down, kind of like the price is right.
Why don't you go in front of the table?
Are you going front? Oh, all right.
So we'll be hereby known to all that the Board of Selectmen offer their sincerest congratulations to Fabnet Machine Company in recognition of their 100th year as a fourth-generation, family-owned and operated business located in Pawcatuck, Connecticut, providing machining, welding, and design, as well as steel, welding supplies, and industrial gases. Congratulations on this amazing milestone, and best wishes on your next 100 years. So this is for you guys. Thank you. We're recording it, so.
He wants to pop into the, he's not on the screen if he has anything this way.
This way? Oh, yeah.
We've been at the same location for 100 years, on Chase Street, that is. And we thank the town very much. They've been very good to us, and we've enjoyed being there.
We've enjoyed being there, but we've also been provided the opportunity to be there by the support from our local community.
Good. Well, hopefully another 100 years.
Put everyone together.
Okay. Yeah.
Smile. Ready?
Smile at camera.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, nice. Beautiful. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice in person.
Good job, you were
Thank you very much. So they can have that meeting. Thank you guys. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Take care. Have a great night. Of course.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so now we're going to start our public hearing part of the meeting on the Neighborhood Assistance Act tax credit application. So we will now call the public hearing portion to order. So it's my understanding that we've received 2 applications for the 2021 NA program from the LEARN Project and the Stonington Community Center. Mr. Sullivan, would you like to give an overview of the program?
Yeah, the Neighborhood Assistance Act, what that is, it's a system whereas through state tax credits, local nonprofits can solicit donations from local for-profit companies. And depending on what the program, how that money would be programmed, the company that gives the donation is eligible from anywhere from either 60% or 100% tax credit when they file their state corporate income taxes. So that's how it works. The town is really just a liaison between the state and the nonprofits and their donors. It's really it's not town funded. It's all funded through state tax credits. So we just facilitate it. We try to put everybody together. But ultimately, it's up to the nonprofits go out and solicit, the donation from the local businesses. Tacoma, you're familiar with what they do. They do so much for the town. They're looking for donations to continue their energy efficiencies improvements to their facilities. That happens to be a 60% tax credit for whatever they get. The the donating to the corporation being like a 60% tax credit. And the Learn organization, they work with all local school districts along the shoreline in southeast area of Connecticut. They're partnering with Goodwin College. It's almost like a prep school program for low-income students who would otherwise struggle in college. In cooperation with Goodwin, they teach them how to be better students before they go on to their college careers. So hopefully be more successful. In this instance, that type of program would qualify for the 100% credit for whatever donations they receive. Just looking at just did a review of last year's. Last year, the Como received $22,000 in donations from Jewish City Savings Bank and Eversource. Unfortunately, Learn didn't receive anything from any local businesses last year, so I don't think they were able to benefit from the credit. But they're gonna try it again. So that's in a nutshell. That's any specific questions.
I think we don't have anyone from the Como or Learn, so.
No, I was surprised. Beth Ann's usually here, but.
And we didn't receive any written communication for or against the program or the applicants, so if anyone here wants to speak about it. But if not, do you have any questions for Jean?
No, I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, it's a great opportunity to form partnerships, so
Yeah.
I'm glad to see the Como was successful last year, and hopefully they both will be
Well, this is their third or fourth year, I think. They got a 4-year program to do improvements, and I think they'll want to have another year after this, and that should complete at least this part of what they're trying to accomplish.
You know, I hear tax credit instead of tax deduction, so it's really valuable for the corporations who donate, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good program.
Okay, all right, so hearing no other comments, the public hearing portion is closed. Now could I get a motion to approve the 2021 Neighborhood Assistance Act tax credit application from the Stonington Community Center and the Learn Project?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
A motion, a second. Any further discussion? No, hopefully we'll be really successful. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. Could I get a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of May 12th, 2021?
So moved.
Could I get a second?
I second.
Any discussion?
No?
Thank you again to Stacy, as always.
Yes, good job.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. So I also get a motion to approve the special meeting minutes of May 27th, 2021.
So moved. I second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
No?
Another
Again.
thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So under correspondence, we received an application from James Palcarini, who's interested in serving on the WPCA. Just as a reminder, he had applied when there was a previous opening when we then appointed Charles Sheehan. We'll be talking with him and touching base again, but for this part, we'll just enter it into the correspondence and then hopefully get to speak with him and see if hopefully he's still interested.
That's good.
And under appointments, we need to add another appointment to the agenda for your consideration. So could I, at this point, just get a motion to add the item of an appointment to the Stonington Harbor Management Commission to the agenda?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion on that one?
No.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. So this is an appointment for the Stonington Harbor Management Commission to appoint Elizabeth Gimple to the Stonington Harbor Management Commission. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Nope. Thank Tori for being willing to do this.
Yeah, no, it's good, and I know she spoke with the chair, and he's been supportive of this also, so I think it's a good.
And she has experience, she has experience, so,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, they're
I'm
good for
supportive.
all those in favor.
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. The next one is a motion. Our last meeting had discussions and interviews with 2 really wonderful candidates for the Economic Development Commission. And at this point, I would like to request a motion to appoint Elsie Bissett to the Economic Development Commission.
So moved.
Need a second?
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Now, discussion. I'd love to hear from you guys what you think.
No, I was very, very impressed with Elsie, with your sense of humor, with your past experience, and I think it'll fit in well. I think the applicant, I'm so pleased that he came forward, and I'm hoping that he'll still
stay
I
involved?
did speak with him briefly, just before the meeting, just to let him know the direction I thought this might go. And he was gonna stay engaged and involved, and maybe even talk about, planning and zoning or other boards and commissions. And I know Dave Hammond's also letting people know that, there's people who've been on there a long time, and if they're ready to go on to something else, that we have another great candidate, we think,
But I think Elsie has so much experience, she can offer so much, without the learning curve,
we hit the ground speeding.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You were also my first choice as well. Robert Jones was awesome. I really, I love that people want to give back, and that was one of the things that he really wants to give back, and he is an Air Force veteran, so I really want him to, look at other opportunities. But when you were giving us a list of your, and that was the virtual meeting, or it was on the phone, right? It was a conference call. When you were giving us a list of your past experience, all there were a lot of raised eyebrows, and or she had like we didn't discuss it, but we were like, wow. Yes, okay, so you would be an excellent addition to the Economic Development Commission, and and I can see you in a leadership role. So yes, hit the ground speeding, not just running or walking. So thank you very much for your willingness to do this. But she was my first choice also.
Yes, thank you so much. Also, yeah, it's gonna be really exciting to see all the things you can hope accomplish with that group. So thank you for coming.
Yeah.
So we have the motion, the second, we have the discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. And you're of course welcome to stay, but you also don't have to. So the next one is I'd like to make a motion to appoint Gary Belkey to the Planning and Zoning Commission as an alternate.
So moved.
I second.
Thank you. Motion and second. So discussion.
No, I spoke with Gary, and I know that he's been interviewed and spoke with Mr. Rathbun, and I think he'll be a good addition to P&Z. I appreciate he is also relative, not brand new to town, but new and interested in getting involved.
Yes, I spoke with him also, and I know that he's spoken with the chair, and the chair supports him being appointed. And while he has some land use experience, what he has more of is a desire to give back to the town, and the amount of time that's involved, because planning and zoning can take a fair amount of time. It's not just the meetings, but it's reviewing the applications and reviewing the zoning regulations, while our planning department does a fantastic job of summarizing all of the applications and pitfalls and other things to consider for all of the commission members. And the fact that he would like to do that, I think is awesome. So
yeah, I do too, and I think this one came up more unexpected, and we know we have 2 more coming in August. So I think this was great, and this was the only applicant we got. So I think it was fine to each of us talk individually to Gary, and yeah, I agree. He seemed like he was really he very carefully considered this,
yes.
And he seems like he knows what he's getting into, and he's willing to serve.
I agree.
So I'm hopeful. All right, so we have the motion and the second, and then any further discussion?
No.
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries, and thank you to Elsie and Gary and Elizabeth, and thanks to all the people. So we also are going to accept the resignation of Peter Balistroschi. He informed us that he plans to resign from the WPCA once a replacement can be appointed. So we'll send him an acknowledgement and thank him for his tremendous service on the WPCA. Thank you to Peter.
So he's going to stay on. So we'll accept his resignation pending a replacement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we have James likely interested in stepping in.
Exactly. Okay.
And he's already been interviewed, but we'll reach out again.
Okay.
Okay, so we have no old business. So under new business, another discussion to award of a bid for a full depth patch contract, and Tom was gracious enough to come, so thank you, Tom. So
Second string mark application.
the Department of Public Works received 4 bids for on-call full depth pavement repair, and Public Works has reviewed the bids, references, and all other associated documents, and are requesting an award of bid to Ed French and Sons. And then Tom, do you wanna add anything else?
Yeah, I would add that, these are typically places in various locations in the town that are a little bit bigger than we can handle in-house, but we don't put them in the CIP because they're not large enough to do it that way. So the funding comes out of our operations budget, which would be, it's normally under $100,000 for the year, for the annual part of the contract. And anything up over that would go into the CIP projects. We've used French before, at French and Sons, they're somewhat of a local contractor located in West Leeward Island, and we've had great success with them. They're timely, they're neat, clean, they do the job properly, and they provide the materials that the contract calls for, which is the right kind of processed gravel. The amount, we never really have to do too much of an inspection. If it's 2 inches on top of 2 inches of asphalt, that's what they put in. And I think that's about it for the contract. There's two quantities in here. There's a quantity for the bid, and I think what we were asking for in the award of the bid is to be able to use the pricing. So if it's under 1,000 square feet, it would be $6 per square foot, and if it's over that, it's $5. And typically it's over that. So the real small ones we can kind of take care of ourselves. But we don't own a power paver, so we don't take on the bigger ones.
Can I just ask a quick question? So it's full depth pavement patch, what does that mean?
That means they come with their own machinery, their own trucks, everything, they excavate, whatever, if it's a 1,000 square foot spot, they excavate the asphalt out of the place. Then if any processed gravel is required, they touch it over with that, and then they put in 2 layers of asphalt, typically 2 inches on top of 2 inches.
Okay, so it's just, the difference is not, they're not just filling a pothole.
Right,
which
yeah,
was-
right. It's
Okay.
actually, it's almost becomes a reconstruction, but you're only portions of the road, like North Stonington Road is a typical example. We did some of those last year and the year before. And we happen to just pick the worst spots. So we kind of do it as an immediate need or action that has to happen, we go and do it there. And we keep a running list, like this year we're gonna try to do, Summit Street in Mystic, I know has some spots, actually, East Enterprise Avenue, blocked up Watchell Avenue, over Valve Avenue, and these are spots, we know they probably don't get as much traffic as some of the other places, so we know we can do a patch for now, let's call it that, or a full depth replacement, and then when we get around to it, comes off the pavement management program, we can take the road on in its entirety.
Thank you.
So that's the deal.
Okay, so, could I get a motion to award the bid for on-call full depth pavement to Ed French and Sons?
So moved.
A second?
I second.
A motion, a second. Any further discussion or questions for Tom?
Yeah, so all these bids that are attached, so how many, it's like, how many feet of road could they potentially repair?
Well,
I don't know if you have that, and if you don't have that
like,
figured out, that's
like
okay.
a linear foot kind of
Yeah.
thing. Average road width is for 2 lanes that are, let's say, 12 feet, 24, let's call it 24 to 25 feet. I mean, they could use as far as 100 feet, 150 feet at a section. It wouldn't be more than
Okay.
a couple hundred feet.
Okay,
We wouldn't do any more than that. Because if
All
you
right.
start chopping up roads in that place, well, 2 things. The residents become upset because they're like, why didn't you pave the whole road? And then secondly, we don't feel like it's the best way to spend the money. If we're gonna do that, then we like either mill the roads like we typically
Yeah.
do now and resurface them, or do a complete reclamation or reconstruction of the road.
okay, but these are substantial patches,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
they're
so,
substantial. That's why we don't do them in-house.
okay,
If it's utility trenches on some of the side roads or even on the main roads, we can do those in-house without any problem.
Okay.
As the larger it gets, we need bigger equipment and trucks that can haul the material, which they use triax, so trucks that can put, let's say, 22 to 25 tons of asphalt on. We have trucks that can only put 9.
okay, that's it.
Aye. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Tom, thank you.
Thank you.
And you're also welcome to stay, but you're also leave. So the next one is a request for, we received a request for the use of the parking lot, 49 North Stonington Road for the Wooden Boat Show, because it'll be back this year, for August 18th to the 22nd. Could I get a motion to approve the use of the parking lot, 49 North Stonington Road for the Wooden Boat Show from August 18th to the 22nd, 2021?
So,
Here's the second.
I second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
This is the same thing we have seen in the past.
Yes,
right?
the same, yes.
So, will the osprey be affected?
Yes, I saw the
Okay,
email
right?
of the osprey.
Yeah, so there was a question about, so I think it's maybe late enough in the season that they'll be all right, but it's something that we've done before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we approved.
Okay.
Years.
Yeah.
For years and
Years,
years.
yeah.
All right, so then, full agreement. I don't think we need to have any special signage or anything, so,
Yeah, I think they're usually very respectful of the lot,
okay,
and, it's a brief usage, so hopefully.
okay.
Motion and second, any further discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. All right, the next item on the agenda is comments from the public. Anything?
Nope.
We good?
So, street, do we have the street number?
Oh, yeah, it's
Do you
not in
take
there.
that out, or? is
No,
it-
it's not on your thing.
I'll get it, okay.
It's,
Okay, the next one is, street number assignment,
Yeah.
let me flip through it.
Hang on, I'll tell you,
Here
Daniel.
we go. Okay. Could let's see.
It's, you're gonna do, the motion is for street number for map 16, block 4, lot 20, for 175 Liberty Street, Pawcatuck, Connecticut.
So could I get a motion, to change street number for map 16, block 4, lot 22, 175 Liberty Street, Pawcatuck, Connecticut, 06379?
So moved.
Second?
I second.
So second. Any discussion?
No?
Thank you for noticing that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries, thank you. Right, now, comments from the public. Just wanted to really make people excited. Any questions? No?
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, thanks for coming. All right, comments from the selectmen. Deb, do you want to start?
Just a quick comment. I had a really exciting, I attended a Connecticut Environmental Forum meeting where the discussion was climate resiliency and vulnerability, and the state spoke in Yukon, but there was also a representative from Branford,
Our favorite town.
from the Coastal Vulnerability Working Group, and he gave a short presentation, and I was so fascinated. I called him later, and I talked to him for a good hour at least, and he's willing to talk to us again, and he really gave me kind of the nuts and bolts about how that working group was set up. They also have selectmen, it was appointed by the selectmen, kind of what they did and what they're doing. And they're doing some real concrete, collecting local data, working on plans, trying to create things that are useful for both the town, and they're thinking in terms of a 50-year planning process. And for residents, so if residents have questions like, should I build this addition, and things like that. And they're not trying to they're trying to change behavior going forward, is basically what he was saying. And, I can send you, I taped up a bunch of notes from talking to him, but, they started with things similar to what we have, because they had a coastal resiliency study done for the town. They had their plan of conservation and development that the residents had identified this was a concern to them. The vulnerability of Branford was hit very hard by Sandy and Irene, the storms. They also had their hazard mitigation plan, and they have the regional hazard mitigation plan.
Okay.
So they started with those and have been building on that. And he told me, we've been looking at, do we accommodate, do we adapt, or do we avoid? And they're really looking at, can we change behavior? They're also looking at the FEMA maps and elevations, and they're trying to change, they're working similar to what we'll be doing, looking at zoning regs and also building permits to try to think proactively towards the future. Whereas you're not going back to somebody and saying, okay, you gotta take this down, but it's more, hey, let's look at this in the future if you build this addition in an area that's flooded already 2 times. So, he's willing to talk to us further, but I was just so impressed by some of the work that they're doing.
So what is the name of their group? What's the
So
name
it's
of it?
called the Coastal, I actually also got off their website, the Coastal Vulnerability Ad Hoc Working Group.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do they have a climate change task force, or is this kind of their
No.
version of it?
Well, in a
It's
sense
kind
it
of
is, but
tied
they
in.
also have a clean energy working group, so they have
Subset. focus.
subset.
Okay.
And this working group, he said, they have different subcommittees on there of like communication, data, legal and zoning. They've kind of, split up to do that. I did notice on their website, they have this clean energy working group, and they're looking at, some of the things that our climate change task force is looking at. So this really ties in too with kind of what, and I know it's not a working group, it's more town employees, the infrastructure group, but it ties into, you know, it brings in several
Yeah.
different
It
things.
sounds like it just sounds like if there's more success.
Oh my
I
gosh.
can think of the right
Yeah,
terminology,
yeah.
but because they have all,
Yeah.
everyone's bought into it and the
Yes.
process and the communication,
Mhm.
and the path forward, so maybe it's a model we can take a
Well,
look at.
that's what I thought, and he's certainly willing to, he's an LED, and it's actually somebody I worked with years ago, so it was so interesting to talk to him again. And he's a good friend of Chuck Sheehan.
Of course.
And so he is more than happy to talk with us further, or, you know, put us more in touch with people in Branford, because I thought, what a great model, you know, and they've been successful, and they're working on it now, and,
Yeah.
it just, as I said, I was really inspired. He's like, well, I was thinking, I wondered if anyone would get anything out of my presentation, and I was like, oh my goodness, that to me, you know, was just a nugget that I took with me and followed up on it, so.
Very good, thank you.
So-
Yeah, let's follow up, and maybe set up he could come and talk, or me, or
Yeah.
also, connect to
Yeah,
Rick a little bit,
right.
maybe, but yeah.
For the climate change
Yeah,
task force,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, because I thought, you know, even if they're doing some different things, it certainly is a model, you know, we can work on and see
Mhm.
how to move that forward, so I was very excited. Yeah, because, you know, I don't really have too many updates, because I had, wetlands met, but a couple of the other commission meetings, I was only able to talk to the chairman, I wasn't able to attend, but.
Okay, do anything for you?
Yes, a couple things. So, the Commission on Aging, we met last week. And I also attended a couple weekends prior, the Mystic Geriatric Institute.
Yeah.
Right, so, and I'm going to continue to attend that. So, it's interesting, because nobody on the Commission on Aging had ever heard of them. And the Mystic Geriatric Institute really didn't know that we had an aging commission in town. I think the focus of the two organizations is a little different, where the Commission on Aging is really focusing on the seniors, and the Mystic Geriatric Institute focuses on like senior legislation and also focusing on the caregivers. So, I mean, I see it as a great collaboration. So anyway, I'm going to continue on with attending their
Thank you.
meetings, and they're Saturday mornings, and I think the next one will be in person. But it was just interesting, the Commission on Aging didn't know, they hadn't heard of them. And there was a person on the Commission on Aging that also would like to attend the Mystic Geriatric Institute meetings as well. So,
Okay, good.
yeah, so that's Commission on Aging. Planning and Zoning did pass a solar field regulation, where so people can have standalone solar fields. Right now, our regulation is for solar panels is that you can only have panels on your roof or south of your home. Where there's many places where if they could put a solar field, and not everybody has, you know, south-facing roof or land south of their home to be able to put a solar field. So they passed the regulation. I think it goes into effect June 21st or June, I think next week or the week after. It actually goes into effect. So there was a fair amount of discussion over 2 meetings, but it got passed. So it'll really help people who want to have a small solar array in their backyard or their side yard. It has to stay within the setbacks. And there's a maximum size of 2,000 square feet, which is actually fairly large. You can make generate a lot of kilowatts with that. So, but I think there's a caveat in the regulation too that requires like the consumption. So people can't just start building solar arrays and like sell that electricity back. So it has to be really for personal use.
Okay.
So. Anyway, that's very exciting because our current solar regulations go back to the 1980s. The police commission, we at one point in time in the past year, we were down 5 officers in town. We're only down 1 now. I think we're stealing officers from other places because a lot of them are already, have already gone through the academy. So I mean, that's really good for us, especially with summer coming and all the events coming back and tourists coming back. So that's pretty good. the Recreation Commission. So I got an update on the football field, right, because now they're being on the board, when I was on the board of finance, we were putting money aside for the football field every year to replace the turf for the football field. I talked with Peter Anderson and they said that they refluffed up the football field last November, which is quite a process, and they ran magnets over it to get rid of any, little metal shavings or whatever that's in the field. The field's in really good shape for at least another 3 to 5 years, he thinks. And as long as they keep up this, this fluffing up process and whatnot, so it helps with the impact and, the track though around the field is going to have to be replaced though before the field is out. But and the gyms, as soon as the school's open and the gyms are available to the public, I know the rec commission would really like to have access to the gyms. They don't have that now, but in time, fingers crossed. So.
I think that's it.
Go
I
ahead.
had a couple of things that I was gonna actually
I was
mention.
gonna ask you, did they mention anything about the disc golf, if I'm using the right word?
Disc golf, yeah.
Disc
Disc
golf?
golf.
Did they
No.
mention it? Okay, well, I know Tom and DPW, they cleared out some trails right behind Spellman to do a new rec program of like
disc
disc
golf?
golf. I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
what
like
it
a
is.
little pilot program. They're starting with 3 holes, but they hope to go to 9, and then eventually like a full golf course and then 18 holes.
And yeah, it was a really nice partnership between, DPW went out and did it, kind of extra time and went and cleared some areas so that they could be out in the field. And tree warden and Maggie went out and gave approval for what could happen back there. But,
Okay, that's
I think
neat.
it's an exciting potential.
So I forgot, because actually I got so carried away on my thing that I didn't.
You're so passionate. You're all friendly.
To talk about a couple things. One was, I did want to say on Mystic River Boathouse Park, for anyone who's following that, we are still waiting for the state's response to our grant for that and our grant for Stillman Avenue Mill. We have not yet heard from the state. They did contact the town with questions, but still no response. So we still don't know if we're getting money on either of those projects. And then I wanted to mention a couple other things. One, June and I went to the Seaport to meet with them, and we talked about possible partnerships, between the town and the Seaport, how they might be able to help us. And interesting, one thing you mentioned was like meeting rooms or things like that. And so I think that's something.
So it was a social event, so let's make sure it was a social
Yes,
event.
it's a social
It wasn't that
event,
event, yeah. So it was a social event where the Seaport invited community leaders to it. So it was us and some people from the Nature Center and Como and, other,
Chester Bank, there were a number of different.
organizations. So just to meet the new CEO and his staff, and so it was outside, it was very nice.
But they were offering up some.
They're looking for opportunities to partner with different groups in the town, so.
Okay, well, good, then.
And it's a really cool new exhibit.
Yeah.
We had a chance to see a preview of it, which was really.
Oh, the exhibit?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, really exciting.
Yeah, I saw it, it was amazing, so.
Yes.
We went for Decoration Day, and so Peter Armstrong gave a little mini tour, it was very nice. But that's good, you reminded me of a good update.
And my last
Yeah.
thing is, just because I had a question from some people, and I know we're starting the new zoning reg process, they wonder about how public participation will happen. And these are people, because it made me think of it with the solar farms. These are people who are concerned about solar farms on scenic roads, and is there a way to request some kind of a barrier or something?
No, that's a really good, so I know, our, both town planner and director of economic and community development, so Sue and Keith are working together to put out an RFP, so to see what kind of people, consultants we potentially get back for the process,
for the
bring
zoning
person
regulations?
to rewrite the zoning regs, so I think once that person's in, then we can talk more with them about how it usually works. I think my basic understanding from Keith and Sue is like, they look through, it's probably like we said, the trigger process, they kind of look through different things, have a community conversation to also get initial input on like where does the community feel like things are outdated or need improvements or
And
changes.
noise is another thing.
And
Noise.
the different, aspects of where the focus should be, and then they'll kind of work on it. And then they said, I think different towns, you probably see this even more than we have, do it differently, but like they could do it by like section or theme, or each meeting could be a few updates at a time, where they could kind of wait till the end. But obviously anything that goes through a change would have that's substantial, with have a chance for public comment and hearing. But yeah, so we'll see, I think once we get the person, we'll see, we even think we wanna include in there, we'll see if we get them somebody who might have some experience with like coastal resiliency, and looking at that.
I think that's
That's a good point for that.
Because I did meet with a resident too about the noise issue, and that was a suggestion on their part to say maybe that could be part of the new zoning update as well.
Yes, but, you know, your dirt bikes
The
and
dirt bikes, yeah.
three-wheelers can't be within the setback. In fact,
Yeah.
that has to be like 2 times the setbacks
Something
for,
like that.
yeah.
So, you know, and again,
Could
but
be
that would
something
all
like that,
be
right.
great with the public participation, so we
Yeah.
can hear these different ideas.
Yes, and so there's things we need to think about.
Thank you.
And, given timing, I'll be brief, but you made me think of it. So we, a group of students from UConn have worked on kind of a renewable energy kind of plan, mostly looking at solar and geothermal for more like what can residents do. But they offered to do a little kind of public community dialogue. And I wasn't sure if it was an overreach, but I wanted to reach out to the Seaport to ask them if they might host it. So now you made me feel empowered to at least ask. Sometime this summer, like an evening, and invite people to come and kind of be part of that discussion. And the UN Climate Change Task Force had suggested if we also reach out to the Green Bank, which I tried to do, but I haven't had any success yet. So if anybody knows any contacts, or I'll let Rick know. I haven't had any success reaching anyone. But just to bring a contact to them, we thought we could also invite them to this event to also potentially speak about some of the work happening at the state level and the options for residents as well as businesses to take advantage of some of the work that they're doing on renewable energy options. So that was really nice of them. That was exciting. I think things are progressing along nicely. We had an update on Al Harvey. It's still very much just in like Trust for Public Land doing a lot of work behind the scenes, but we had a good call to the members from Avalonia and then also U.S. Fish and Wildlife at a different time, and everybody's still kind of progressing positively and trying to work towards doing, working with a neighbor who is probably purchasing part of they have a right of first refusal for a parcel of the land, so they're working on that and then drawing the boundaries, and then we'll have the official surveyor go out, and then once all that's done, then U.S. Fish and Wildlife can request the money for their portion that they feel is looking positive, that they'll be able to get the money because another project fell through for them, which is sad, but good for Storytown. Bad for wherever that was, but good for us. So it's looking, not terrible to say.
Not a project that we had.
Yeah, so it's, that's promising, and we did our last COVID update last week, hopefully, but that was, it was just a bittersweet moment, but we felt like we were down to only 6 new cases the week before. I think it was 10 maybe, and obviously it had been hundreds each time. So we felt like we're down low enough that we won't keep doing the every week updates. I'm also not sure how many people actually even looked at them, but we did them every week. So we'll stop doing that. So that was kind of, I feel like a milestone that we reached. We'll probably still do occasional things about vaccines because we still like to see those numbers go up more. I know the aquarium posted a mobile vaccine. I don't know if it was just past weekend, but hopefully they'll do that more, and they're looking for the state is looking for other recommendations on events or locations where a lot of people will be, and they'll put these kind of mobile vaccine clinics there. So it was really nice of the Seaport to do that. We also have a dedicated webpage now to the Veterans Monument effort. So you guys can help us share that, or anybody who has any interest in sharing that. So on it we have an Excel with about 7,000 names. Based on the tax assessor list. So we know, we know we're missing probably a lot of people. And we did agree with the kind of informal ad hoc group we pulled together that we have an opportunity to be really inclusive, and so we wanted to do that. So it's really anyone who served in any capacity who's called Stonington home, and they will have to provide evidence. Someone in Human Services has agreed to kind of take this on and help partner with us. We have a dedicated email set up for it, so you can email that email address, and if they have questions, or if they want to say, we think my mother, my grandfather, whoever is missing from this list, and they'll talk them through the process. So that's one thing we really want from people, is to look at the list, help share the list, let us know who's missing. Since from the building, former Chief Erskine has been really helpful, and he's already getting us names of people who are missing, so that's been really nice. But the other part is fundraising. So Stacy's been doing an amazing job reaching out to everybody that she could think of, asking for kind of grants. She's been applying for different, potentially applying for different grants from different businesses in town, and organizations, but also, some people have been just amazingly generous and do even just like $10, and it was a lot for me, but I really want to give it. So there's been some really touching donations that have come in, that have been really amazing. But so everything from, a few dollars people could give up to, we have broken down different amounts for recognition on the potential monument. So yeah, if you know people, if you have other ideas or know of other organizations to reach out to, that's a big one. Okay. Yeah.
We're gonna be on the Veterans Hour radio show.
Yeah,
promoting
DC
it.
this out to be on the Veterans Hour radio show, and also record a little snippet that they'll potentially replay for us on the field too, which will be that's really nice of them. And then I don't think we've had a meeting since we did it. I can't remember, but at least not a public one, but we launched the 911 211 mental health campaign with United Way and the police commission. So that's been really exciting. United Way, I think, is right now signing a contract with Miranda Creative, who they already work with, and who's been doing all this pro bono for us for months. I should have brought the flyer. To launch this, hopefully about 4-month, we're thinking right now, campaign. The Eastern Connecticut Community Foundation has agreed to spend some money. Hopefully we'll be using some American Rescue Plan money to augment that. And like we talked about, it'll be everything from like, if we can ever get a billboard space, they're booked up forever, but billboard space, to lawn signs, to mailers, to people's houses. It'll be in the tax slips, and also flyers. So the school has been really gracious, and we created a flyer, and they're gonna print them for us and put them into backpacks to go home before the end of the school year, which I'll email to you guys so you can see. But if you have other ideas, and I'll share the overview. But I think it's really potentially exciting. We're meeting with the PD in 2 weeks to go through baseline data of how we can track like what initial calls are coming in through 911 and how they code them, and then we can hopefully see over time, keep tracking it for months even after the campaign. Does it change? Do they see a decrease in some of these types of calls? And then 211 will be doing the same thing on their side, so they see an increase in calls. So hopefully it's successful, but we'll track it and see.
That's good.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's a billion other things, so we'll leave it for that for now. Anything else? Thank you guys, we'll stand adjourned.
Okay.